Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Friday the 28th of July. Well, we had the ECB meeting yesterday, we've had the Bank of Japan meeting this morning, early hours, 3 Asian session there. The latter, it takes some analysis to work out even what they've done, but it doesn't look like a lot apart from, well, it's not a lot. Anyway, ECB, well, it looks like at last they've coming to the end of their rate increases, potentially at least. They wouldn't commit to saying whether they'll increase in September or not, and I'm just seeing a speaker that has said that if they raise rates in September, it'll be the last one. So what they're suggesting is they need to have a look and see now after all this. Obviously we saw the PMI data out in the beginning of the week, and that was pretty poor and suggesting slowdown of growth, etc., and it's got to be a concern. So it's now a battle between the US and the ECB, the euro area, to see who can have the worst economy, I think, at this stage. Have they tweaked interest rates too far? Possibly. Should they have started increasing them earlier? Definitely. And over a longer period? Yes. However, they haven't, and the rates are what the rates are. Anyway, let's have a look at the markets then and see what's happened then. So yesterday the euro, it did actually get a bit of a rally on in the morning, but following through from Wednesday's comments from the Feds there, so we saw a bit of continuation, which looked like we were going to see a proper continuation, only for it to then fall on the very lackluster data coming from the ECB there. Now, we've just this is a trend line I drew. This is one I drew earlier, and it has actually just had a bit of a test of this level, and it's a key level now, because are we going to see a continuation of this sort of move that's sort of occurred to the downside, or are we going to get the correction? The big money was really favouring the euro significantly, particularly at the beginning of the end of last week, last Tuesday. This Tuesday just gone, we'll see if it's a different ball game, but it certainly might be next Tuesday when we see the data. But for now, all in all, we can only follow the technicals here as much as it's been favoured, the euro. Looking a bit iffy, to say the least. There is a bit of divergence across the lows there. At this stage, if it was to get up towards its daily pivot, I'd prefer to be shorting into that level, but along with the previous lows. So that's what I'm looking at the moment. So there is something on the board potentially. The pound disappointed yesterday. It got washed out with the bathwater. Pretty much went along with the euro there. So did a lot of other currencies. We saw dollar buying basically, and it was a picture across the markets effectively, as the world's second economy overall just softened up effectively. So what we're seeing here, well, is certainly a breakdown on the pound there on the 4 hours. It started off there in the morning to an extent, and sorry, morning, that's the afternoon one. Well, it was the afternoon properly, but it never really recovered. It did have a little bit of a retracement there. It was a bit in the morning. It actually rolled over. It wasn't going mad. Anyway, it sold off quite strongly. Then come the news, not really helping things, and off it sold completely. Now, same position as the euro effectively. Same view in terms of if it pushes back up to that pivot. What have we seen when you come back to the 4 hourly, where it had a better curve to the upside potentially? If one of these is going to rally, maybe it could be the pound, but we're at that point where a lot of these currencies in terms, and central banks are actually saying much of the same. and it's a look-see sort of situation. There's no definite will carry on increasing, and at the same time there's not a definite well we're going to stop increasing. So it's left the old status quo rocking all over the world, literally. So the US dollar yen this morning, it's had a choppy old time here, and if you can make any sense out of that, good luck. Spiked both sides. It softened initially, strengthened, softening again. The yen is all I can say there. Best not to try and do analysis of rubbish, basically. The Aussie, well, the Aussie also got thrown out of the bathwater. We saw the same sort of moves coming down here, selling off as money was going to safety. It was certainly pulling away from here, and we've seen it push all the way down to its S2 there on the weeklies. And daily wise, where we got scope here, well, it's not got a long way below us now to run into that towards that S2. Now if all these markets were to start pushing and we saw dollar selling again, well, the daily pivot could be on the cards, but it's got a much lower probability having already hit its S1, so wouldn't be looking for that particularly. I'd prefer the euro and the pound if they go up there first and then roll. There's the opportunities here. It's gone a decent way this morning already. Hasn't got a long way before it might find some support. US dollar CAD. So chop. It hasn't done too much. It's just sort of actually been in this sort of range effectively, so it's stuck in its range. It does this from time to time, and that is no exception here. At the moment it's looking like it's softening again against the dollar. Dollar's pushing up here. I don't have a trade on it, and not particularly liking what I'm seeing. Maybe if it starts breaking down here we could see it come back to catch its daily pivot and more, but stay within the range. It could just as easily, for what we're seeing here, break out of this range and actually get a bit more of a move onto the upside. Not a clear day there. New Zealand dollar. So the New Zealand dollar's come back a step, and it's much the same as the other currencies effectively, particularly the Aussie, following suit here. It didn't get the same sort of retrace yesterday. It did start selling off, and there you go. It done the retrace earlier on. It consolidated. It sold off already towards its S1. It's got a scope here for the S2. Hasn't caught the daily pivot. It's broken its lows over here. It's not really reacted too much. Had a little bounce off the S1 area, but this has got scope down to the S2. So here you go. There's a possibility. Dollar Swissy. Well, even the dollar Swissy showed a continuation. It had started pushing up earlier in the week there, but late last week it started pushing up there. The midweek it's come off there, but off it goes again, and maybe it's got a bit more in it. There'll be some divergence across these lows here, break of these highs. Could see at last the US dollar taking back over from the Swissy a little bit, which would be a relief to the 90% of holdings that sit in the Swissy on the long side. So we'll see. Dollar Swissy on the long side, I should say. Okay, other pairs like Euro Yen have become a little bit untradeable with the yen price action there. Euro Pound's not really doing too much at this stage. Euro Aussie, well, we are seeing this push back towards its highs here. Maybe one day, probably in September something. No, maybe one day we'll get a proper breakout, a retest, and the play that I've been looking for. Was looking for it here, never occurred. It broke out, then just carried on pulling back. I'm still looking at to see if we get it. I think it's got its potential. Euro CAD, not really. Euro's really sold off against the CAD here. Probably a bit of divergence here on the 4-hourly stroke hourlies at this stage, so it's very much like the euro dollar here, but the best play in the euro dollar as opposed to euro CAD at the moment. Pound Aussie, everything's beating the Aussie up at the moment. The commodity currencies taking a beating there really. Pound CAD took a long on this yesterday, finally came back, stopped me out on that. As I say, the baby got thrown out with the bathwater, and we really saw the reaction of that. To be fair, it was looking a bit, it sort of weakened off. The double top didn't help things in a sense, but all flags have a double top at stage, but that doesn't mean to say flags don't work. In this case though, it just ran out of momentum. The fact that it put the doji in, put the hanging man in, left it looking weaker, although it put its hanging man in, started pushing up again for a little while there. Anyway, sold off, soft. Would I want to be selling this? Joining the low side of this? Not really at the moment. It's been sitting there, holding up the pound overall. The general drift is still to the upside. Pound yen's a mess, and well, start coming through these other pairs. The Aussies really dropped against the CAD again. I'd been looking yesterday, was looking at the potential at some time of this trend line being broken. Hasn't even got near it this time. It's not even air kissed it in proper, and it's rolled over. This looks quite soft, and maybe we'll see a continuation to the downside here. Okay, so unfortunately there's not a great deal there. There's a few possibilities. In New Zealand dollar maybe will continue and run off through its S1 at some stage. I'd definitely prefer to see it after 8 o'clock. 8:30 onwards would be even better, just so we don't get caught in a little tiny plop and then up it rallies. Okay. Right, there's the currencies. Quick look then at the gold. Gold then, looking at what's going on. That's it, that's all I really want to see. So gold came off yesterday, no surprises there. As well, again, it's trying to get a bit of a bounce. It might have a better chance. All saying that, look at that, it's done what I've been wanting the other markets to do. However, the other markets keep going up. This might keep going up as well, but it does look like it's got potential to sell off here. We'll see what happens post 8 o'clock. That's a possibility down to it towards its S1. Right, crude. Crude. So crude yesterday pitched into a new highs. We've pretty much seen that. It's starting to do it earlier on. It pushed up there at 5 o'clock actually. It was 1 o'clock it actually picked up. The dollar strength coming through here. Even saw crude price coming off a little bit. You see this strong dollar, softer oil price, and vice versa. Consolidating where it is at the moment. I think we could still be in for another upside. I was looking yesterday of whether we've seen the end of this move, but looking at the upper time frames, well, potentially there's still some more. How much more is a question, but it's looking still bullish in the short term. The S&Ps, the CSI 300, so looking at the other markets there, finally it's broken out of this ugly bearish looking monstrosity and managed to catch a bit of a rally there. So we'll see if we get a continuation of this. Most of the other equity markets are currently positive. The Nikkei being a bit of an exception, it ended up closing down on yesterday's close. Slightly, but still trying to do something here. As I said, the break of the lows here would see me change overall view on this. This is sort of hanging in there. I'm pretty neutral on it effectively. The Nifty 50, This is seen at a lower high coming through here. It's been, for me, the most positive of the markets, but even this now, we're just seeing that little edge off there, lower high coming through there, not particularly looking fantastic here. The Aussie 200, well, it's not doing too bad. It's still sitting there somewhere, bit of an off time, but not doing too bad. Likes the S&Ps then yesterday, they did again. We saw the strong dollar. We saw equity markets here sold off a little bit, recovering at the moment, but still certainly not like the other markets where we've seen lower highs coming in or potential lower highs coming in. This is still a pretty bullish market for me at this stage. There's the Dow Jones, similar case, bearish engulfing. Key reversal bars in there, so we'll see what develops. But a key reversal bar on one of these equity markets at the moment certainly is a time to sell. Just because it's there, you wait for confirmation. Here we've got the Nasdaq continues consolidating, looking the weakest of the bunch really at this stage. Close to home, the DAX, dare I say it, well, yesterday it did actually like the fact that interest rates might be coming to an end, as it should, and it's sort of pushed up there quite solidly. It continues through. So we'll see this morning its reaction. It's a difficult one. It just keeps getting into chop and staying into chop for long periods, a week at a time basically. Are we going to see a bit more cheer come through there? I would be surprised if we get too much more cheer because of the state of the economy. So however, money has to flow somewhere. And finally the FTSE here chopping along. Let's just get it onto the dailies here. It's been chopping again, getting a bit of a kick of the weaker pound. The money again starts flowing somewhere. If they're seeing interest rates reduced, or I say reduced, not reduced, but slowing down elsewhere, there's probably hope that the Bank of England will follow suit next week. It was a similar rhetoric. Right, okay, and finally, for those that follow the other currencies, the Bitcoin. Just come back here, so no real surprise here. Again, dollar strengthening. I mean, it's barely any move for the Bitcoin markets there. Ethereum shifting off a little bit, but these really are stuck. Chainlink, whoa, Chainlink got a bit of a boost there, but it's probably one of the few, or is one of the few. Litecoin again is still in this sort of lower highs, lower lows, this sort of bearish zone. Yes, they're getting a bit of a bounce off this. It's the what am I looking at? It's the yearly pivot that's sitting on there. Okay, that's pretty much it for me. I wish you a great weekend. Hopefully something will materialize this morning on the Forex side of things. As I say, we've got the likes of the euro there. We'll just see if it picks back up there. Could be a trade back up there. It will, again, we'll see what happens. My preference is to be trading it though in the direction it's been moving, and it's basically all it did after that sort of blip up there is following it. We're still in that previous trend. Right, have a great one. I'll catch you on Monday. Bye for now.